is my English adequate? Can I project my voice? Do I know what I'm going to say? And some of the time, all that takes is a little bit of preparation before you go and do your interview, before you speak in front of the camera. We're not saying you need to speak for an hour. We're saying it's just a few minutes. But you have to build the confidence. But if, again, you feel that your English is just not quite there yet, then you can be the camera operator and you can ask somebody else to present on your behalf. Someone who, who feels comfortable and confident. So that's a call that you have to make individually. But just remember that once people see this, they have to understand you. So I completely get what you're saying, and that's just where it's at right at the moment. So it's not, we're trying to find an approach to that by saying then choose somebody who actually can stand in the front of the camera and does feel.
And I guess that just goes back to know what you're shooting for. Okay, so there's you'll have a certain style filming for Supernews, okay, because that's positive citizen journalism. Be very different if you're filing a report, say, for SABC2 News, where you can do it in your own language. So always know the film that you're trying to make and what you're going to be doing with that film afterwards. Makes sense?
And I think also, also to make you feel a little bit more South-suited. Okay, so we've really got a real diversity over here. I think that one of the ways to also go about that is maybe prepare in your own head, or even on writing, or prepare it in your own language beforehand, so that you know what you want to get across. And then if you need to, almost like translate it. But I don't mean like it has to be word for word. I'm just saying that if it's easier for you to think in your own language, then it's easier for you to know what you want to get across. So that by the time that you're actually standing in front of the camera, you've been able to, you know what I mean, translate it into English in your head first, but you thought about it in your, I don't know, it might work for you, it might not work for some of you, might be absolutely comfortable. If your love is for sport, okay, then it's going to make sense for you to report on sport for the most part, or it's not going to make sense for you necessarily to go and report a story on finance or a story on music. It's just not going to maybe be your thing. So, because a lot of the time people can feel that you know a lot about what you're talking about when it's your area of interest. Okay, so I would say for the most part, focus on what you know, focus on what you're good at, and as soon as you become more comfortable with that, you can start to generalize. Okay. Yeah.
I just want to say, if they like a team like this, so if she's good with music and everything, and then she's not good with, because they know each other and they know we all super news journalists, they can share like, okay, I know this is here I'm not good at, so let me call whoever, and I know we will tackle this thing proper. So it's better to share amongst and know each other's strength and share.
And I'm going to show you how to do that a little bit later. Other time people will be working individually. Yeah. Okay, other times you'll be working in a crew of 2, and sometimes it'll be a bigger team, where you absolutely can rely on each other to kind of cross-pollinate ideas and expertise, and some of the time as well, if you're reporting a story, you're going to need to find an expert, you know what I mean, and don't consider yourself the expert unless obviously that is your area of interest. So just things to consider. It will change as you get more experienced.
Power of citizen journalism. What gives you an advantage over the Star newspaper, Mail and Guardian and all that is because they're not in the community that you live. You know your community better than anyone else. And that's the power of citizen journalism. You guys are able to get to the story where other news sources can't get to, because the local population might not trust the main media, but they trust you. Okay, so it's quite a heavy responsibility, but also it's a very powerful advantage. Okay, so that's why when Gina was saying, work on the story, you guys know what the problems are in the areas that you live in. Okay, and I'm sure
you also know the success stories.
Yeah, you know the success stories. So you guys focus on those kinds of things.
Okay, next one is have a plan of action. Okay, you're not just going to suddenly arrive there and tell the principal, oh, hello, I'm here to interview, and he's got meetings the whole day and he didn't even know that you were coming. So That's really important. The other thing obviously is that you actually need to, like I said to you, prepare before. Think about who you're going to interview, how many people, how much time they're going to have, how much time you've got. Things that seem really, really obvious, but some of the time you actually have to think about getting organized and what you're going to do.
You prepare your questions beforehand so you know what you're going to ask and you don't get stuck.
I think these days you don't need like this big camera, that big camera to be able to do your job. A cell phone with a very good camera that will work for you. Alright? But there's a technique on how to use the equipment. You understand as well? Mostly, your shot, it has to be at least still. So it might be a bit difficult using like a small equipment like a cell phone, because normally but then what you might need to have a support base for it. You know what I mean? I need to like camera in a support. This is to make it shot less still. You get what I mean? So the equipment on which at least you really support for it. Solid support, so it's working still. And again, something fancy like this is just it creates an attention. You know, you rock up with a camera like this in a township, then you get a crowd of people saying, now, okay, what's our inside daily sun? You know, that's what everybody say. You know, so and then a crowd of people, you got distracted. Especially when you're shooting on location in something that moves, so you need to be ready, you know. And like Dennis said, you need to prepare yourself before you shoot. You know, normally what we do is if maybe there's something happening tomorrow and you want to shoot the, maybe a graduation or something, you go there and you inspect the location. Okay, this is a good place for me to shoot because maybe the minister will be staying here, and you know what I mean. So maybe you want to. Close-ups are very important too, but to start you need that wide shot. You get what I mean? Because now this is news, alright? And it's very interesting. I mean, if it's only one wide shot, people will come in, you film them up until they get here. It gets a bit boring. You know what I mean? So if they're chanting, then you see this one with a passion, and you see that one with something, then it becomes interesting. So even the viewer, they don't lose you. They don't lose interest in what you're doing. You get what I mean? So it makes, close-ups makes the whole thing to have pace. You get what I mean?
Now you can have an extreme close-up where you focus just on the eye. That's extreme close-up. Okay? A close-up, a normal close-up would be about here. Okay? Then you've got a mid-shot, which is about here. Okay? And then your wide would be like the whole body. Okay? But keep this in mind, in your edit, you cannot cut from a close-up to another close-up because it'll jump. Okay, so you need like quite a degree. So in other words, if your first shot is on a close-up, then you would need to cut to a mid-shot. Okay, because otherwise it'll look funny on camera. Do you guys understand what I mean?